What's happening, everybody? Missouri adds another quarterback to their roster. What does that mean for Brady Cook and company? Locked On SEC starts right now.
You are Locked On SEC, your daily podcast on the Southeastern Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everybody? Welcome into Locked On SEC. It's great to have you guys along. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use our code Locked On for $20 off your first purchase. I'm Chris Gordy. Thanks for making Locked On SEC your first listen every day. Shout out to everydayers. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, covering your team every day. Lay out the show. We're going to get to all the latest news going on around the conference with football tidbits. Then we'll get into SEC basketball, recapping the end of the season. We got the SEC tournament starting this weekend, so we'll run through that bracket a little bit, and then we'll get to some SEC baseball highlights from over the weekend. So it was a busy week. Let's dive into it. Let's go around the conference.
Boots out to the right. Takes the handoff. What a catch!
Around the conference.
Yeah, we start over at Missouri. As we just mentioned, Missouri landed a transfer quarterback in the portal from Arizona State. Also via Notre Dame, quarterback Drew Pyne. He has been enrolled at Notre Dame as a regular student this spring, but he is expected to join Missouri's football program coming up this summer. Drew Pyne telling ESPN's Pete Thamel he committed to Missouri while he was there on a visit over the weekend. And Pyne brings a lot of experience as a starter. Joins Missouri as the presumed backup to Brady Cook coming up this season. Of course, Brady Cook was one of the best quarterbacks in the SEC last year, throwing for 3,300 yards, 21 touchdowns. And, of course, Missouri getting to double-digit wins on the season last year. Drew Pyne telling ESPN he met Brady Cook years ago at the Manning Passing Academy, got to know him then. And Missouri now has a very viable backup who could step in if anything were to happen to Brady Cook. And obviously, Missouri thinking maybe they can get to 10-2 this year or better and make the college football playoff. And, you know, if something would have happened to Brady Cook, now they got a guy who could step in and keep that dream alive. But Drew Pyne gonna sit there on the bench for Missouri. And the reality is Brady Cook's backup last year was quarterback Sam Horn. Well, Sam Horn, who also pitches for the baseball team, just had a season-ending injury and underwent Tommy John surgery for a torn UCL. So he's going to be out some time, and Missouri really didn't have a viable backup, and now they do. So Drew Pyne comes in, and speaking with ESPN, he pointed that, you know, Mizzou's trajectory was a big reason why he chose to commit without even, you know, taking the rest of his visits to other programs. He said from the beginning, Missouri stood out. Program has great momentum right now, is one of the best in the SEC, and to be one of the best in the country. Being on campus, talking with the coaches, I understand why they had such a great season last year. I believe strongly that they're going to be a big-time player in college football, and I'm hoping to contribute to that however I can. Now, Brady Cook is entering his final year of collegiate eligibility, and Mizzou doesn't really have an heir apparent. I mean, Sam Horn was, you know, highly touted freshman a year ago, but, you know, him having the Tommy John, that's you're out at least a year, close to a year and a half sometimes with that Tommy John surgery. So Drew Pyne, ESPN says he would have 3 seasons of eligibility. You know, he spent 3 seasons at Notre Dame before spending this last year at Arizona State. But I think one of those was a red shirt, and then, of course, you know, COVID year, everybody gets an extra year. I don't know. I don't know when that COVID extra year ends, but whatever the case is, he will have 2 seasons remaining after this one to vie for that starting job. And he'll be older by then, but a chance for him to, you know, grab the bull by the horns and be Missouri's starter in life after Drew Lock. But 2022, Drew Pyne lost the Notre Dame starting quarterback job to Tyler Buckner who Alabama fans know very well. Pyne stepped in as the team starter after Buckner suffered a serious shoulder injury. And then this past year was at Arizona State and battled injury again there. So, again, the hope is he's just going to be the backup to Brady Cook this year. Well, we'll see. Again, circumstances happen, and if an injury would have happened to Brady Cook, it's good to have Drew Pyne in there. Missouri, though, they've had a lot of change this offseason. Obviously, replacing both or having to replace the defensive coordinator, Corey Batoon, now coming in, taking over as the new DC. They do keep some momentum going, though, with Kirby Moore staying on as the OC. There was some rumbling several weeks ago that maybe he could go to Alabama, but that did not happen. So a seemingly quality backup for Brady Cook this season at Missouri, and Eli Drinkwitz can breathe a little bit of sigh of relief with a good backup there. All right, over at Ole Miss. News came out several days ago, but we hadn't had a chance to talk about it. Lane Kiffin adding to his Ole Miss coaching staff and crossing rivalry lines from On3 Sports. Ole Miss hired Mississippi State head coach Zach Arnett as an analyst. Kiffin confirmed the move and explained Zach Arnett was a good fit and a lesson he learned from Nick Saban related to the move. And always keep an eye on your rivals. Arnett most recently was head coach of Mississippi State, went 5-6 before being fired, and he was one and done. But before that, he was the head coach. Before he was head coach of Mississippi State, he served as Mike Leach's DC and was also defense coordinator at San Diego State before that. But leave it to Lane Kiffin to cross rivalry lines to go get one of the guys from the to make the Egg Bowl rivalry that much more interesting. Now, a couple of days ago, Lane Kiffin also made an announcement that Bryan Brown is coming in as co-defensive coordinator and secondary coach. Brown is a Mississippi native, 4-year letter winner for the Rebels from 03 to 06. And he comes back to Oxford after spending last season at Cincinnati as the associate head coach and defense coordinator for the Bearcats. So as our buddy Stephen Willis points out, he said in the last 12 months, Lane Kiffin has added Pete Golding, Bryan Brown, and Zach Arnett as an analyst. He points out Pete Golding is known for his defensive lines. Zach Arnett is known for being a linebacker whisperer, and Bryan Brown is known for his secondary being ball hawks. So some good additions there for Lane Kiffin and company. And of course, this comes on the heels of them putting all their NIL stuff together with the Grove Collective and bringing in one of the top transfer portals this offseason. Lane Kiffin talked about that and said they did a great job putting the plan together, and Grove Collective doing their thing, raising money, and they took care of business. So good news there for Ole Miss. Over at Alabama, Greg Byrne talking with Alex Scarborough of 24/7 Sports, reflecting on the impact of Nick Saban and his wife, and admitted the Crimson Tide leadership expressed their desire to see Nick Saban continue coaching as long as he wanted to, but after it was clear that Saban would be retiring, he said Alabama wanted to be open-minded in the hiring process. He said, we obviously were so fortunate for the impact Coach Saban had here, but basically they didn't want to just go with a Saban disciple. They wanted to go find the best guy for the job, and he said, I think if we tried to hire somebody that tried to look like and act like Coach Saban, it probably wouldn't have been good. There's only one Nick Saban. So Kalen DeBoer, obviously much more friendly, I guess you could say. Nicer to the media, playing music for the kids at practice and all that kind of stuff. So at the end of the day, we will see if Kalen DeBoer was the right hire. But Greg Byrne making a good point there, saying we didn't have to go to Steve Sarkisian or Lane Kiffin and go chase that Saban disciple. Oh, this guy was from his coaching tree. We got to get him. Pick your own path. Over there at LSU, they are their practices are underway, getting ready for spring ball. The Garrett Nussmeier era underway, and some highlights coming out over the weekend. Garrett Nussmeier was hooking up with his receivers, Kyron Lacey, Chris Hilton, Aaron Anderson. They also bring in C.J. Daniels and Xavier Thomas through the transfer portal, and also got to see Vanderbilt transfer quarterback A.J. Swan as the number 3 quarterback working behind number 2, Ricky Collins. As for LSU's defense, Jordan Gilbert, the A&M transfer, was working alongside the former Georgia transfer and Major Burns as the safety duo. So funny how everything is so incestuous in the SEC. Guys that were playing at other SEC schools, playing for new SEC schools. But Major Burns been there for a little while, but Jordan Gilbert just came over this offseason. One other note, Brian Kelly and LSU picking up a commitment from a 4-star linebacker over the weekend in Charles Ross, Texas native, joins LSU's top recruiting class for next season. Blake Baker, their DC, said he prioritized Charles Ross after offering him this year. Rated the number 43 overall linebacker in the class of 2025, according to the 24/7 Sports composite. All right, there you have it. That's the latest football news going on around the conference. We've got plenty more we got to get into, including basketball news that is coming your way here in just a second. Thank you guys for making Locked On SEC your first listen every day. And first, I want to remind you guys, this episode is presented to you by our friends over at Amazon Fire TV. Fire TV is your destination for sports. From live games to highlights to in-depth analysis, Fire TV offers amazing viewing experiences with smart TVs, as well as the Fire TV stick that you can plug into any existing TV. That'll provide you access to millions of movies, TV episodes, as well as free and live TV. Whether it's opening weekend for baseball, the college basketball tournament, you're going to want to make sure you have Fire TV. They recently created Fire TV channels to deliver a constant supply of the latest videos from your favorite sports brands, all for free. And that includes all of us at Locked On and most of the big pro leagues and college conferences as well. Fire TV channels let you dive into all the game analysis, highlights, and more to keep you up to date on all the latest news in the sports world. From college to NBA, MLB, they got you covered. And not to mention great news, entertainment, gaming, travel, cooking videos as well. Check out Fire TV channels on Fire TV and Alexa devices. If you haven't checked them out yet, trust me on this, you should. Learn more at Amazon.com/LockedOnFireTV. That's Amazon.com/LockedOnFireTV. This episode also presented to you by our friends at the Game Time app. Look, you shouldn't have to worry when you're buying tickets to your next big event. We got the SEC tournament happening this weekend. Perhaps you want to get in on the action through Game Time with that. They're the fast and easiest way for you to buy tickets to all your favorite sporting events. They got killer last-minute deals, all in prices, views from your seat, and the best price guarantee. They're going to take the guesswork out of buying tickets. It's the only ticketing app that gives you complete peace of mind with your purchase. Go check out the view from your seat before you buy so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. Told you guys, did that a couple times this past NFL season. It was perfect. You literally see the view from your seat so you know exactly what it looks like. It's not a pole in your way or whatever. This is a good view of the field. You're going to be able to see that right on the app. All in prices, show your total up front so you know that you're getting a great deal before you check out. And you buy tickets in seconds with 2 taps on the app. Go take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app today, create an account, and use our code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem our code LOCKEDON, get $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. All right, roll along here, Locked On SEC. Thank you guys for making us your first listen every day. Shout out to our everydayers. Come on back tomorrow on the show. We're going to continue our spring previews. Been going around the conference. If you missed any of our episodes last week, we knocked out Auburn, Alabama, Tennessee, and Florida. This week, we've got more SEC schools to come, so make sure you are checking those out. All right, we've officially got it close to the SEC men's basketball season this past weekend, and the SEC tournament is set. The bracket and schedule have been finalized. So recap the action from Saturday. LSU beat Missouri 84-80. So Missouri finished with an 0-18 SEC record. They did not win a single conference game. And that's a team that made the NCAA tournament a year ago. Crazy how they fell from the top. Kentucky got a huge road win over there at Tennessee, beating them at 85-81. Reed Shepherd, man, hitting some big shots. Antonio Reeves was awesome. And Tennessee had been red hot, man. They had just beat Alabama and Auburn and South Carolina, and then they lose at home to Kentucky. They were down big and rallied to make it close but no cigar. Auburn dominated Georgia in their home finale, 92-78. Alabama went to overtime with Arkansas, and they pulled it out 92-88. Rough season for the Arkansas Razorbacks, as they've been making a bunch of Sweet 16s the last couple of years, but they finished season 15-16 overall, just 6-12 in the conference. South Carolina got a big road win to finish off the year, 93-89 at Mississippi State. So they finished 25-6 overall, 13-5 in the conference. A&M crushed Ole Miss in Oxford to finish off their season 86-60, but an 18-13 record, 9-9 in the conference for A&M. They have some work to do if they want to punch their ticket to the postseason. And Vanderbilt edged out Florida 79-78 to get their fourth SEC win. Florida finishes 21-10, 11-7 in the conference. So, who do we need to watch this week in the tournament? Well, we'll have first round action on Tuesday. It'll be Vandy against Arkansas and Mizzou against Georgia. And then after that, we'll get into the thick of it. Mississippi State, LSU. The winner of Vandy, Arkansas will take on South Carolina. We'll have Ole Miss against A&M. And the winner of Mizzou, Georgia will take on Florida. And then, of course, your top four seeds, Tennessee, Auburn, Kentucky, and Alabama, will all be waiting in the quarterfinals. But here are the implications. Tennessee, they come off the big home loss to Kentucky. They're looking to earn a number one seed in the NCAA tournament. But seems like at this point they need to make a deep run in the SEC tournament to or SEC tournament and win the SEC championship. They would have 8 quad one victories, and they would absolutely be in contention to move up to a 2 seed in the tournament. Other SEC hoops news, SEC Player of the Year race is a tight one, and we're down to Tennessee's Dalton Knecht, Kentucky's Antonio Reeves, Alabama's Mark Sears, and Auburn's Jahnae Broome. So going to be a tough one to see who wins this one. I think a lot of Vols fans feel like Dalton Knecht has got this one locked up. When he led the conference in scoring at 21.4 points per game, was very efficient, finished the year with a true shooting percentage of 59%. There were 6 instances in which an SEC player scored at least 37 points in a game this season, and he was responsible for 4 of them. So feels like he is the favorite for that. Other SEC hoops news, there was rumblings that a new in-season men's basketball tournament called the Players Era is going to launch this upcoming fall, and participating teams will get $1 million in NIL funds just for participating, and then the winning team will be eligible to earn another $1 million. The report states that funds will be distributed to collectives and boosters or other NIL entities, and the coaches and the teams will be able to distribute that money however they see fit. The only stipulation is the money be distributed to participating players. So the Players Era going to take place in Las Vegas. 8 teams set to participate this upcoming season, and they hope to expand to 16 teams the year after. And according to Front Office Sports, teams that have been contacted already include Duke, Houston, Kansas, Oregon, Alabama among those. So we will see what happens with that, but no official announcement made just yet. But seems like a pretty cool deal. And on the women's front, congratulations to South Carolina. Number 1 South Carolina knocked off number 8 LSU 79-72 to win the Southeastern Conference tournament title on Sunday, but it was marred by a fourth quarter fight that led to Gamecocks leading rebounder Camila Cardoza being ejected. Flau'jae Johnson lost the ball, was wrapped up Malaysia Fulwiley, who stole the ball from her, and was called for a foul. Flau'jae Johnson then bumped South Carolina's Ashlyn Watkins, and Cardoza rushed in and threw her to the ground. So in a long time to look at the reviews, Cardoza and 3 of her teammates were ejected. 2 LSU players came off the bench. They were also ejected. and they had to finish out the game. LSU did cut a 13-point deficit down to a 1-point game with 4:36 to play, but LSU just could not get any closer. So Dawn Staley has just had Kim Mulkey's number for these last couple years. We'll see if they meet in the NCAA tournament. Remember last year, South Carolina got knocked off, and LSU got to the championship game and beat Iowa and won the national championship. So, there's some bad blood between those two teams. It was physical, man. They were both sides. The refs were kind of letting them play and not calling a ton of fouls. And a lot of people say that's how they want it played. But, man, South Carolina was lucky to get by Tennessee on Saturday. Survived with a banked-in 3 at the buzzer to win that one. Otherwise, it was going to be LSU versus Tennessee in the SEC championship game. But nonetheless, South Carolina avoids a loss, and they're still undefeated. So we'll see what happens tournament-wise. But, yeah, we need to find a way. If you could write a script for the women's tournament, find some way to get LSU, South Carolina, and Iowa all in there. The Caitlin Clark effect, along with Dawn Staley, Kim Mulkey. And heck, let's put UConn in there just for fun as the 4th team. But I don't know how you do that, map that out with all the seedings. But if we could pick one, that's what we'd love to see. All right, thank you guys for making Locked On SEC your first listen every day. Still more to come here on Locked On SEC, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, covering your team every day. We've got some baseball heads. We'll recap some of the SEC action. We got SEC versus SEC baseball happening this weekend. We'll recap the final non-con weekend as it was in the conference that is coming your way in just a sec. Well, first, I want to remind you guys this episode is presented to you by friends over at LinkedIn Jobs. When you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for your role. And that's why you got to go check out LinkedIn Jobs. They have all the tools to help you find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. It's not just another job board. LinkedIn has a vast network of more than 1 billion professionals, which makes it the best place to hire. It gives you access to professionals you can't find anywhere else. LinkedIn does all that while making the process easy and intuitive. Hiring is easy when you have that many quality candidates to choose from. So easy, in fact, that 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. And LinkedIn Jobs knows that small businesses are wearing so many hats, they're going to make the process simple and easy for you. 2.5 million small businesses use LinkedIn for hiring. Go post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. Go post your job for free right now. Terms and conditions apply. All right, final segment here on Locked On SEC. And for those of you who know me, I'm a big SEC baseball fan, and we got some SEC versus SEC baseball action happening this weekend. But first, figured we would recap the weekend that was, as we had tons of action going on. So let's dive right into it, as Tennessee swept Illinois over the weekend, outscoring them 38-7 on the weekend. Blake Burke with a big weekend at the plate. He drove in 6. A.J. Causey and Drew Pyne both improved to 3-0 on the year. Georgia, they swept Northern Colorado to improve to 16-1 on the year, their best start after 17 games in the modern era of Bulldog baseball. The Bulldogs hit two more home runs Sunday to raise their NCAA leading total to 48 homers on the year. Fernando Gonzalez hit a grand slam. How about this note? Georgia now has 6 grand slams in their last 6 games. So Georgia baseball, watch out for them. They're 16-1, and they are taking prisoners. All right, LSU, they took 2 out of 3 against Xavier, falling on Sunday 2-1. Luke Holman on Friday night pitched 6 no-hit innings for LSU with 10 strikeouts. Then on Saturday, Gage Jump pitched 5 shutout innings with 10 strikeouts himself. So it's LSU pitching. They lose Paul Skeens, and looks like their staff is even better as a whole this year, pitching-wise. Florida, they took 2 out of 3 against St. Mary's. Jack Caglione pitched 6 no-hit shutout innings with 9 strikeouts on Sunday. Colby Shelton, he hit a walk-off home run for the Gators on Friday night in extra innings. Texas A&M, another dangerous team to keep an eye on. They remain undefeated on the year, a perfect 16-0 after they sweep Rhode Island. Braden Montgomery, he has 30 ribbies on the year. and has driven in at least one run in 15 of the 16 games played. Pitching-wise, Ryan Prager, he is 4-0 with an ERA of 0 in 23 2/3 innings pitched. A&M pitching is monstrous. Watch out for them. South Carolina, they swept Longwood over the weekend and improved to 13-3 overall. Eli Jones threw 6 shutout innings on Friday night. Tyler Causey drove in 5 runs on Sunday. Mississippi State, they swept Evansville. The Bulldogs have now won 9 in a row after starting the year 3-4. Dakota Jordan, one of the hottest hitters in the country. He drove in 10 runs on the weekend. He's got 8 home runs on the year. So people predicted him to have 30 homers on the year. He is well on his way with 8 already. Vanderbilt, they swept Illinois State. Carter Holton, he pitched 5 shutout innings with 11 strikeouts on Friday night. Alabama swept Lipscomb to improve to 15-1. Alabama has won 19 straight games at home dating back to last year. It ties for the 3rd longest winning streak at the Joe. Arkansas, they swept McNeese. They improved to 13-2. The Razorbacks clinched their 30th consecutive non-conference home weekend series. Arkansas ace Hagen Smith struck out 9 on just 64 pitches over 4 scoreless innings in their opening win on Friday. He was working on a pitch count, but Hagen Smith, very good. Kentucky, they dropped 2 out of 3 against Kennesaw State. That was a little surprising. They won Sunday to avoid the sweep. Mason Moore was solid. He went 7 innings, allowing just 1 hit and an unearned run. Other games, Ole Miss swept Morehead State. The Rebels improved to 12-5 on the year. Auburn took 2 out of 3 against Austin Peay. They drove in 24 runs on Sunday. And Mizzou took 2 out of 3 against Purdue Fort Wayne. So taking an early look at what's happening this weekend as we get SEC play underway. And we will get underway Friday night. It'll be Georgia versus Kentucky. It'll be number 7 Texas A&M against number 4 Florida. Man, that is going to be a battle of 2 top 10 teams. LSU will play at Mississippi State. Number 8 Tennessee will play at Alabama, who ranks number 15. And then we'll have number 19 Auburn will play at number 9 Vanderbilt. Number 21 South Carolina versus Ole Miss, and Missouri will be at number 2 Arkansas. So like if I were kind of handicapping which series I want to see, that A&M pitching staff against that Florida hitting lineup, that's the one I want to see. I want to watch the A&M Florida series. I want to see Tennessee Alabama. You already know that's a rivalry, and in every other sport. So you know this one's going to be good with Tony Vitello and crew, and Tony likes to mouth off when he can, so that'll be a good one out there in Tuscaloosa. LSU Mississippi State will be interesting. We know LSU is the defending national champs and talked about how good their pitching's been, but Mississippi State kind of been on a roll after the rough start out of the gates for them. Chris Lemonis and company, they have rebounded here in recent weeks. And then really just like Georgia, Kentucky could be sneaky good. We just talked about how good this Georgia team is. Man, if they can go take 2 out of 3 in Lexington to start their SEC play, that would be huge for them. Auburn and Vanderbilt. Auburn. I like this Auburn team, but man, they've got a brutal stretch right out of the gates these first couple weeks. Go try to win one out there at Vanderbilt. South Carolina, Ole Miss should be a good one too. I mean, South Carolina, top 25 team going out to Oxford, play the team that won the national championship just 2 years ago. And Arkansas shouldn't have any trouble with Missouri, but as we said, it's SEC play and anything can happen. And there you have it. This is the latest news all around the conference in basketball, football, baseball, heck, softball we didn't even have time for, but LSU remains the lone undefeated team in softball. They went into Lexington and got their SEC play going and swept the Wildcats. So shout out to them. That is going to do it for this edition of Locked On SEC. Again, keep it locked here and subscribe. We're going to start bringing more of our spring football previews from other teams around the conference right here on Locked On SEC. I'm Chris Gordy. Everybody have a great Monday. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow right here on Locked On SEC.